Hello guys, it is I, Freeze700. We are back, this time with a Homebrewed Space Marine chapter. Now, Homebrewed Space Marine chapters is going to be a new series we're going to be doing where you guys create a Space Marine chapter, and I review the lore, I review the units, I review whatever it is about the chapter you have put. I'm going to use GIOS here because I kind of molded his to be like the perfect Space Marine chapter as far as like what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a lot of details, even if they are incorrect. I still want to see it. Why? Because I want you to develop a lot of time into this. I'm not going to shit on your Space Marine chapter. I will talk about some pointers though and maybe give you guys the right direction as to where to go so that way you guys can have fun with it. Now, also pictures. I'm looking for a lot of pictures, but the minimum requirement is 2. So, Trooper Geo here is giving me like over 10. So this is great. Also, Trooper Geo is giving me a lot of lore, even some small stories inside the lore. I'm going to do the lore right now. This lore is going to be 7 minutes long, so if you guys do not want to hear it, just skip ahead. Besides that, here we go. Let's dive into the lore of this homebrew chapter. Alrighty, so the Iron Angels, Sanguinius' Avenging Sons. This is a homebrew chapter created by Trooper Geo. So, this is what he has created. So let's talk about the lore aspect. Let's read all this stuff. The Iron Angels are a loyalist chapter of Adeptus Astartes created by the Third Founding. The Iron Angels are descended from the 9th Legion of the Legionis Astartes, the Blood Angels. Many of the chapter's founding members were said to have been drawn from members of the Blood Angels that specialize in airborne and orbital shock assault warfare. The chapter would go on to fight in many campaigns and regarded to be one of the Blood Angels' most loyal and stalwart successors. They have served alongside many Space Marine chapters and have forged a unique bond with the Marines Malevolent. Whenever the Marines Malevolent pass through the region of space, the Iron Angels give them new war gear and vehicles. The reason they do this is because they respect the Battle Brothers of Marines Malevolent for saving their chapter master, Marco Decian, and 50 veterans of the First Company during a Chaos incursion in 997, Millennium 38. During the 33rd millennium, the chapter reclaimed the world of Arcadia from an Eldar craft world. Upon looking at the world's inhabitants, the chapter master announced that these children were perfect to be new recruits. The chapter then made Arcadia their homeworld. Arcadia is a forge world and is the only forge world to still make STCs of Great Crusade technology. The world has a planetary defense force that is known as the Steelhawks. During 008, 39 millennium, a large space hulk emerged from the warp near Arcadia. The Iron Angels, upon inspecting the size of the space hulk, determined the entire chapter needed to be deployed. Once all 1,000 Battle Brothers boarded the hulk, the space hulk then entered the warp. The Marines then realized that they had fallen into a trap set by the World Eaters. The World Eaters hoped that they would be lure in the Iron Angels so they could attempt to turn a Blood Angel successor chapter towards the worship of Khorne. The Iron Angels refused the World Eaters' offer to join them in worshipping the Blood God. The two forces would then interlock in battle for the next 2,000 years. The Space Hulk would reemerge from the warp in 997, Millennium 41. A small fleet of Dark Angels arrived to inspect the Space Hulk. The Iron Angels told the Dark Angels company master over the Vox that they were not tainted by the warp. Chaplains of the Dark Angels boarded and attempted to find any taint in them. However, the Iron Angels were free of any taint. Over the course of 2,000 years, the chapter turned the Space Hulk into the Fortress Monastery. In the 999, Millennium 41, the Blood Angels' homeworld of Baal was under siege by a Tyranid hive fleet known as Leviathan. Commander Dante of the Blood Angels issued a distress call calling for all successor chapters of the Blood Angels to return to Baal. The Iron Angels dispatched the 3rd, 4th, and 1st companies to Baal. During the devastation of Baal, the chapter would fight alongside the Red Knights and the Blood Templars. Here, the Iron Angels' 3rd Company Captain Julius managed to kill a Tyranid Carnifex using only his Stalker Bolter. After the devastation of Baal, the Ultramarine Primarch Robert Gilliman introduced the Primaris Marines to the Blood Angels. 400 Primaris Marines were given to the Iron Angels. Upon returning to Arcadia, they recruited 300 neophytes and put them through the grueling training. In the current timeline, the Iron Angels are helping defend their region of space against an Orc Wa, led by War Boss Gut Crusher. Alright, organization and culture. The chapter is mostly Codex compliant, however they have 2 major deviations from the Codex. Instead of 1,000 Battle Brothers, they have 2,000. Their justification for this is due to their region of space being very big and thus more Marines are required to guard it. Companies of 200 Marines in them are organized and identified as followed. First company, single gold blood drop. Second company, single green blood drop. Third company, single black blood drop. Fourth company, single orange blood drop. Fifth company, a single purple blood drop. Sixth company, single white blood drop. Seventh company, single silver blood drop. Eighth company, single yellow blood drop. Ninth company, single blue blood drop. 10th company is single gray blood drop inside a white circle. The chapter prefers to wage war deploying their troops from Thunderhawks or Storm Raven gunships. The Marines would jump from gunships into the enemy line and attack them head-on in either ranged or melee combat. These tactics have given the chapter many nicknames among the Imperial Guard, and because of their tendency to wage war via airborne insertions, they prefer fights alongside the Elysian drop troopers. Squad identification in the chapter is much like the Blood Angels method of identifying squads. The Marines have different helmet colors. Red helmets means the Battle Brothers are part of a battle line unit. Example would be Tactical Marines, Intercessor Squads, Infiltrator Squads, Terminator Squads, etc. Green helmets mean the Battle Brothers are part of a close combat squad. Example would be Assault Squad, Assault Intercessor Squad, Bike Squad, Land Speeder, Interceptor Squad, Reaver Squad. Purple helmets mean the Battle Brothers are part of a fire support squad, Devastator, Suppressor, Aggressor, Hellblaster, Eliminator. Gold helmets mean the Battle Brothers, a veteran who has served or is serving in the First Company Marines. Wearing gold helmets can be found in Vanguard veteran squads, Stern Guard veteran squads, and command squads. The Labyrinth trial marks the final test of new initiates who are to become Primaris Marines. The test involves 10 initiates going to a part of a Space Hulk Fortress monastery that has been constructed by the Battle Brothers to be a maze. The maze is then filled with creatures that they captured on previous campaigns. The main goal of the initiates is to make it to the exit of the labyrinth within 24 hours. Most recruits do not make it past this test, but for the ones who do, they earn the title of Battle Brother. The following story is about Primaris Lieutenant Juno Severus of the 4th Company. This details his experience in the labyrinth. I'm not going to read all this. You guys can read it if you want, but only because it's a story, and also this has been a very long recording. Dealing with the Black Rage. The Iron Angels do not suffer from Black Rage as heavily as the other Blood Angel successor chapters do. It is theorized that they have some of the purest gene seed, however, nothing has been proven. However, this does not mean that they are free from the curse in any way. During the Battle of Origani 3, a few days before the Marines Malevolent saved Chapter Master Marco Decian, the 51st Company veterans, the other 51st Company veterans fell to the Black Rage. After a greater demon of Khorne arrived on the battlefield, Master Decian described the sights as followed. They were no longer men, they gave in to the rage that called them for so long, bloodthirsty, charging into the enemy's lines, ripping their limbs apart, limbs from limb, being overwhelmed and killed. No, they were no longer men, they were now animals. The Iron Angels have served mankind proudly for the past 10,000 years and will continue to do so in this new age of the Imperial. Now, as far as lore nitpicking goes, I don't like a few things because realistically I wouldn't see that in a Warhammer 40k experience. Like having 2,000 Space Marines just because you're garrisoning a large piece of space, that would never happen. Now, usually when it comes to the whole permissing of larger Space Marine chapters like the Black Templar and the Space Wolves, it's usually because they're so non-codex compliant that they have very different command structure. And this is why the Ultramarines and a few other chapters look a blind eyes, because their command structure is so weird and different that it would be really hard for them to actually go codex compliant and follow by their structure. That's why they have their own special shit. As far as this guy's, having a larger space to garrison would just mean that they would instead divide it up and send another Space Marine chapter in that area to garrison even more shit. So that's something that I kind of don't like as far as like lore wise, but at the same time I really do appreciate the amount of effort that was put into this. This was really good. I love all the effort that was put into this. Something else too is that they talk about the Marines Malevolent aiding a Space Marine. They don't really, Trooper Geo doesn't really go into a few details as to how that happened, what the story is behind that, and that's a story that I would definitely have loved to have read. Like, what was it exactly that the Marines Malevolent did to have saved a chapter master? Because as we all know, Marines Malevolent do not go out of the way to save people unless they get something in return. They don't expect a reward, they usually expect to steal shit. Now, when it comes to the whole idea of them giving free shit to the Marines Malevolent, again, that I have a bit of a lore issue with, because if that was the case, the Marines Malevolent would just case the joint. They would literally just steal everything. They would purposely chill around that system forever just to get free shit all the time. But, hey, whatever. This is still pretty good. As far as, like, lore likeliness, if those two things weren't in there, I think this chapter would definitely fit in. Now, as far as the color scheme goes, it's not supposed to be gray. It's supposed to be silver. So silver and red. That's essentially what the scheme is. I love these pictures here that Trooper GIOS designed. I love them. Just look at this. Look at the detail he has put into this. This is beautiful. Here we got different types of Marines, different armors on Marines. We got Primaris. We got a non-Primaris. We got Devastator squads. We got Maximus armor. This is beautiful. I love the amount of work he put in here as far as like showing all the designs, showing all the intricacies, showing like all the details. Some of them have Aquila's symbols on their chest, some don't. Some have teardrops on their shoulders, some don't. Like, I love this. I even love the fact he put a Storm Raven in here. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I want as far as the other Homebrewed Space Marine chapters. Now, some that Trooper GIOS doesn't put here that I think would be more optional, but it would definitely be nice because you guys like to play tabletop, is putting in the rules of tabletop for this faction. Now, this faction is probably going to do the Blood Angels rule set, so a lot of shock, drop pods, and shit like that. But this chapter doesn't seem to suffer from the Black Rage. Another lore nitpick is the whole thing about Khorne worshippers somehow doing a very devious scheme to get the Iron Angels into the warp. I think that's not exactly what they're looking for, because I could never think of any like World Eater who's actually that devious and cunning. So that's another lore nitpick. But hey, as far as like GW is concerned, this is fucking good. This is golden. This is exactly what we need to look for. It is really well thought out. It's very unique. Like, they have basically two home systems. They have the Arcadia that he was talking about, which is a Forge world. I don't really care too much about the STC part. I cared more about the fact that he said that it was a Forge world specifically. And then he also talked about how they have a Fortress Monastery, which is this big-ass Space Hulk. Now, a Space Hulk is very tough to clear out. So I'm glad that he put it in that they've been there pretty much for like 2,000 years. So they pretty much were stuck in it. That's plenty enough time to clear out a Space Hulk. So I like that idea. And I like it too that the Space Hulk reemerges and he says that the Dark Angels of all of them fucking investigate. Yeah, that sounds about right. Dark Angels are very investigatory. So besides that, as far as this goes, I think this is really good. I like the idea. It's very unique. Here they are. They're Blood Angel successors, and they do have their own role. They're very different from the Blood Angels themselves. They actually fit into society. They fit in the Warhammer 40k ideas. This is something that I like a lot. I would love to see more of this. The next homebrew chapter is going to be called the Vortex Marines by, by Potato Sand. But besides that, it's going to be very interesting to review more of this. I would love to see more of this. Now, as far as the whole rule set, I would say if you guys ever play these guys in a tabletop setting or from maybe a Dungeons and Dragons type setting, I would say probably go along the lines that they're okay with civilians dying. Because if you're friends with Marines Malevolent, that's pretty much their shtick is killing civilians. Now, mind you, Blood Angels are just like Imperial Fist and Ultramarines. Saving a civilian is great and all, but that's never the goal. So in other words, they will sacrifice civilians up to a point, if they have to. Blood Angels are a little bit more willing to sacrifice civilians than the Imperial Fist would be. And Imperial Fist would try it till he absolutely necessarily has to. Salamanders would never do it. Ultramarines, same thing with the Imperial Fist, but maybe a little bit more friendly. Blood Angels, not so much. They would definitely throw a civilian in if they could. Now, I like this idea a lot, so besides that, this has been Freezer 700. I'm out. As far as lore, probability, and fitting this in, I would give this an easy 8 or 9 out of 10. I would say 9 out of 10 if he added a few things and corrected a little bit of the lore nitpicks. Like if he added in the the whole rule set for the tabletop. Now, mind you, I'm never going to give a 10 out of 10 because there's probably never going to be a 10 out of 10 except for a real Space Marine chapter. But even real Space Marine chapters have a lot of bad lore and a lot of dumb shit about them that even I would give them 9 or 8 out of 10s. So the fact that I'm giving this a 9 or 8 out of 10 doesn't mean it's bad. It means that this is actually really fucking good. This is like a fucking masterpiece. So this has been me. Please, guys, submit more of your own homebrewed Space Marine chapters. I would love to look at your guys' work and just say, you know, this is really good job. This is really well done. This is thought out. And, hey, maybe other people will like it and say, hey, you know, I should do this too in my tabletop. So, see you guys next time.